Hey guys, welcome to the Scholar Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. In today's video, I'm going to cover the top 5 interesting things, and not just interesting but useful things that you can start doing with ChatGPT today that will save you time and money and effort and all sorts of those nice good things, right? So first of all, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is the latest offering of this basket of AI tools coming out of OpenAI, and OpenAI is a company that's going out there that's just doing amazing things, creating these artificial intelligence tools and putting them out in the market for people to use. Some of them are free, some of them are paid for. Currently, you can get onto ChatGPT for free, all right, and without paying anything. Of course, it's still in beta stage, which means don't commit too much, because at some point probably they're gonna bring in a price, and all of this cannot be free in perpetuity. So top 10 interesting things you can do with a ChatGPT. Let's get started. The first one is suggestions about anything. So let's say you want suggestions about quick things you can do, like an online gig that you can get to. You can pretty much ask ChatGPT to help you with that, all right? So I asked ChatGPT earlier on, can you please suggest some online gigs I can do to make money? I want to make money online. Boom. And ChatGPT is going to go out there. There are many ways to make money online, freelance writing, blah, blah, blah. It's going to suggest some things that you can do. So you can use it as a, just an idea generator. And for this, I can give you a couple of examples of idea generation. I use it to generate ideas about blogs. I use it to generate ideas about books. I do it to generate ideas about pretty much anything you can ask ChatGPT to help you with. So that's number one. Number two is just going to be building up on top of number one, and over and above, asking it to generate ideas. Imagine it is like a search engine, right? So you can expand that into searching. So let's say like earlier on, I wanted to do research about writing a book, and of course before I could do that research about writing a book, I wanted to Google. I could go to Google and say, please I could Google the book name and see all the books that come out. But imagine I wanted a more intelligent search where I wanted to suggest books in a certain genre, all right, so that I could read those books to get background information about the book that I want to write. So number two, OpenAI ChatGPT is really advanced Google that you can use to search very, very intelligent searches, like please recommend books on pick a topic. Like I wanted to write about business inspiration, right? Book written on the topic entrepreneurship, all right, in the last 10 years. Obviously, I don't want 150-year-old books. Book suggestions. So here's a few books written on the topic of entrepreneurship, the lean startup, blah, 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 blah. It's going to recommend some books for you, and then you can go and read off of this and whatever. So anything you can do on Google, you can pretty much do here, except for, obviously, if you ask it something like, who's the current president, or please give me a link for, the latest story on this and that, you're not going to get an answer, because ChatGPT has been trained only up until 2021 or 2020 data. All right, so there's information that is not available, and if it can't answer a question, it will tell you that no, I do not know the answer to that question. And another thing that I want to draw your attention to right now is on ChatGPT. When you have a conversation, this is something new that isn't available on the other GPTs of OpenAI, is that it keeps record of the conversation. So even on their online tool, which you can access via chat.openai.com, is that you can, when you're having a conversation, it will just build up on top of that conversation. So it is like a chatbot, which means that it will remember everything you asked from the beginning. So you could go back and say, oh, about that question I asked earlier on with the books, if you take the third book on that list, can you do this and this and this about that? All right. So these are the books it's recommended, and you can go read these, and then you can beef your knowledge up on entrepreneurship for your, whatever your project is. So that's number 2, that interesting thing that you can really do about with ChatGPT. The next one, which is going to take a lot of businesses out of business, is things, those businesses like Copy AI, those, Jasper.ai, those online content generating tools. You pretty much don't need that anymore now that you've got ChatGPT. So let's say you wanted to write a cold email. Let's go there. All right. Generate a cold email template for reaching out to CEOs about our new amazing, right, wrinkle removal cream. So you want to do check. I mean, what do those online content generator stuff do? They do cold email generation. They do online marketing, content generation. They do all of those things, and you could just write whatever it is you wanted to produce here, instead of like now clicking through many different versions of things that you want, and just ask it, and it can do that for you. All right, there's your cold email. Hey, this is whatever, and you can copy and paste it and write it anyway, right? And this is just like, it's like the coolest thing. And the interesting thing about ChatGPT, the really interesting thing about ChatGPT is like you can even work with code. You can even get it to produce code. But obviously I'm not going to do that now, because I'm still just covering the interesting day-to-day things that you want to do. So let's say you want to write an email to your boss. Okay, so I'm expanding on still use case number 3, email generation. All right, can you generate an email that I can write to my boss, explaining why I did not show up for work yesterday. I was what was I doing? I was out shopping, but I cannot tell my boss that. Right? So let's see what it's going to do with that. Dear boss, I want to reach out to Celia Pro just for not showing up to work yesterday. Unfortunately, I woke up feeling quite ill, and after trying to push through for a while, I realized that it would be strong for me to go home, and the importance of reliable attendance and full responsibility. I think this is just amazing. So the next time you want to ditch work and you don't know how to write a professional email explaining what you're doing, there you go. And I didn't tell it to say I was ill, right? It's just like it's connecting the dots and say, okay, well, if you're out shopping and you can't tell your boss you're out shopping, well, let's make an excuse that your boss will understand, right? So this is really, really cool. Imagine all the things you can do here. So all the content generation, the thing with the content generator stuff, you can't, that's online right now, your Copy.ai, your Jasper.ai, you can't do this. You can't tell the AI to lie. Right? I didn't even tell you to lie. I just suggested you can't say this, and it sort of figured out and made the connection and decided what was the most appropriate thing to say to get you through. So that's really, really amazing. ChatGPT is just through the roof. All right. So that's number 3. So we've covered that, right? Interesting thing, language translation. Let's say you're traveling in China and not even China, let's go to a place like, let's say France, and you sort of, and you forgot your translator book at home, or you're just trying to understand some concept, you're trying to, so ask OpenAI, I am in France and would like to, translate some concepts into French from English, but it will figure that out even if you didn't say it. Let me just say to French. How do I say Good morning. Can I have a cappuccino and a croissant, please? And you'll see some of it is, I can get the spelling wrong. Trust me, OpenGPT will get it right. Like, I'm not going to fix that spelling. I'm going to just leave it like that. And OpenGPT will figure out what you're trying to say, because it's normal human beings. Sometimes we get spelling wrongs, right? So let's ask it. I'm in France and I would like to translate, can I please have a cappuccino and a croissant? Okay, and it'll translate for you. So you can use it as a language translator. So all these tools that OpenAI had that were separate, language translator, completion, classification, or that, or using a chatbot, you could access each and every one of them, and the ChatGPT will give you a response on what exactly it is that you need, and it will figure out exactly what it is that you want, right? And the last one, so that was number 4, right? Language translator. The last one, and this is what I use all the time. So I'm going to actually get off this conversation, and you can do a new chat. So over there, you can so you can go back to your old chats, because over here it will remember everything else that you did, right? Or we can go into a new chat and we'll generate a new chat and so forth, and then we can go ahead. Blog writing is one of the most, so I want to save the best for last. It's one of the most widely used online AI generated content that, thing that's out there. Most people that use AI content generators use it to write blogs, especially if you've got like a website and you need to produce 2-3 blogs a week. Imagine that if you get an AI to help you with that, because just trying to come up with those ideas from the top of your head is not always that simple, right? So you could do this with ChatGPT, but you'd have to put together so many concepts together. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write me a full blog with titles and subheadings and explanations under those high subheadings, and I will tell it I want that blog to be at least 2 pages long, and I'm going to ask it to just write it using one prompt, which you could never do with ChatGPT before. Let's see how ChatGPT will do, how well ChatGPT does on that. All right, write me an online blog on, let's pick a topic, training, getting ready for that 50K trail run this September, right? So I've given it a topic. You could also ask it to give you topic suggestions, by the way, right? Getting ready for the 10K trail run this September. All right. Break down the blog into sections, starting with an introduction, and ending with a conclusion. For every section, write a few paragraphs detailing that section. All right, detailing that section. The discussions should be critical, arguing for and against the point you are making, and deciding on a middle ground. All right, so I wanted to write full blog with a topic starting with an introduction and a conclusion, and in the middle of it all I want you to have discussions around each and every section. So the blog should be at least 2 pages long. Actually, that's not necessary. I'm just going to leave that because I don't want to confuse. I don't want to give it another limitation. Let it just do this with whatever's available. All right. Oh my gosh. So all the videos I've done about blog generating tools that I spent so much time and effort trying to write 100 prompts to get that right until you get a full blog. You can throw all that, I won't say it, out the window, and you can just forget about that app, and you can come to OpenGPT and you can just ask it to write you a full blog. And right now there is no tool on the market, nowhere close to having that ability to just write you from scratch with one prompt a full blog. You could even suggest some of the subheadings, right? I mean, this is like, and it's still writing. This is a full blog. So let's say you want to write a blog, and you can go and have a gig on Fiverr for writing people articles, and you can get them to pay you some good cash for it, and then you come to ChatGPT and you just generate a whole AI blog in, I don't know, a couple of seconds. And this is again faster than the old GPT-3. This has worked a little bit faster. Preparing for 50K run. That's the blog, right? It's got an introduction. It's got the section on training. It's got the section on nutrition, the section on gear, and a conclusion. You could even give it subsections if you wanted. Because another thing you can do with the blog writing tool is that you can say generate 5 subsections. You could direct it. Like the way I've written this prompt, you can expand on this prompt and say, well, have at least 5 subsections discussing these things, benefits, and then for each subsection, then explain a little bit longer, maybe for like at least 3 paragraphs. You can tell it what to do, but the nice thing about it is that you can do it in all of that, right? So what's missing? What's next for ChatGPT? I'd like to see ChatGPT give us an API, right? Like I'm just like salivating, waiting for that API, because the kind of shit we're gonna build when we get that API is gonna blow your mind. Number 2, I'd like to see us being able to take this, obviously if there was an API, to then put it into an application and be able to generate the outputs in voice format, right? Like you could put it into a mobile app and somebody could talk to it like, hey, can you please do this for me? So it could be your voice assistant. And instead of like typing it on this online website, you could have it as the engine in the background, and people can talk, and you can take that voice and convert it into text, and then use the AI engine in the background and bring back the results in text format. So those are the 2 things I'd like to be able to do with ChatGPT, but all of them obviously depend on these guys at some point releasing their API. So as soon as that API is out, let me know, guys. I'm going to be checking it out. I'm sure it's going to be out because that's their motto, OpenAI. They're meant to be open and open their AI to people to use via an API. So I'm just waiting for that API. So that, guys, thanks for watching. Please recommend in the comments below some other interesting things that you've been able to do with ChatGPT. And I'll see you guys again next week.